Ram, where have you been? You haven't uploaded in the past 2 months. What the fuck? Yes, I am truly sorry, my fellow gambler. It's just that I've been too busy playing that sole RNG game on Roblox. It's such a great way to fulfill my gambling addiction. Dear God. And while I was playing that game, I'd just be sitting on my desktop looking at my screen until I'd get something good. And that's all I would do for the past 2 months. No eating, no sleeping, no jerking, just me looking at the screen. But at some point, I stopped feeling the same love for this gambling game. Something felt wrong. It wasn't me who was playing. It was him. The gambling addiction is based on gambling something for something better. We need to lose something. When it sells RNG, you don't lose anything to gamble. It's automatic. Bullshit! So that's why and how I decided to cut down over 50,000 trees and hypixel skyblock to enhance the climatic change so everything can end faster! If we just take a look at the base concept of foraging, you'll see it's not really complicated. Technically, it's actually the easiest skill in the game, but for the wrong reason. The problem with foraging is that it can be explained in literally one sentence. You need to cut tree. And that's literally all. The main reason for the lack of content on that part of the game is pretty simple. Since the start of the game, pretty much every single skill had multiple updates to them. These updates added them island, special item, new reward and resource that we could gather that would help the player get further into the game. But you really need to know that since the day one, the release of the minigame called hypixel skyblock, only one update has been released specifically for forging. There were some patches and some mini update, but all they did was adding the tree capitator, the monkey pet, and the ocelot pet. As you can see also, there's not a single reward that is given by upgrading the foraging skill, except at level 1 you get, wow, access to the park. So that means that you don't have really a big point to bypass that level. You technically have gained the access to everything after level 1. Why would you want to grind that skill then? And also, wanna know something funny? You see guys how every single armor at some point will start having requirements, like this one having combat skill level 20 as a requirement, and also not all of them are weapon and pickaxe and whatever. Sometimes it's also just for an item that will heal you, like another flux, well, a power orb. Well, the foraging skill doesn't have a single item in the game that requires to have a level of foraging to it. If at very least there was one item that would require to be used to get a higher foraging skill, it would be understandable to grind it. But there's literally nothing. The only real reason to do foraging a bit is if you're on Iron Man profile and you need to craft armor that requires collection to be crafted. For example, the Mastiff armor. That you'll see, wait, Dram, it requires Wolfslayer 4, not forging anything. Well, the first armor requires a bunch of Dark Oak. But you want to see something funny? This armor doesn't even require to have the Dark Oak collection itself to be war. And same for the Mastiff armor, it only requires Wolfslayer 4. So unless you're an Iron Man player like me for today's video, there's literally no point of gaining over level 1. And I guess, yeah, it does give +1 strength and some skyblock XP, but those are the real only reason to do it. Except if you're Iron Man again. Like I said earlier, only if I'm Iron Man I really need to go get the collection and the resource. Well, so yes, I am Iron Man, and also, I guess the goal of today's video will be to craft some piece of that armor and see how it will go. But before we start, I just need to hire a few hitmen quickly. Also, don't ask me why. Oh no, I don't have enough money for 8th hitman. Yeah, so they updated Chocolate Factory, which is pretty funny. And actually, I enjoy so much Chocolate Factory. It's like almost the funniest part of this game, which is a really sad thing because it's a offline grinding based thing. The setup I'll be using today will be pretty simple. So it's basically a tree cap and a monkey pet and that goofy armor. So basically the thing is, there's not a single armor that grants Foraging Wisdom or Foraging Fortune in the entire game. So basically the only way to like actually gain Foraging Wisdom or Foraging Fortune, it's by, well, getting a tree cap with the Reforged Toil, which grants more Foraging Wisdom, or you can get the Reforged that gives some Foraging Fortune. Also, with some gemstone, I think you can get Foraging Fortune, but I'm not sure. And there might be a book also or something like that. Then you got the Frog Mask, which is the biggest joke. This thing grants 20 Foraging Fortune and 5 Foraging Wisdom while you're in the park. So we'll be grinding in the park, obviously. And yeah, that is the only piece of armor the game made that grants stuff that helps with grinding foraging. And even though, yeah, I could be using my Ocelot to level up the skill, but I mean, we don't care about leveling up the skill. It's useless. We just need to gather resource today. And funny enough, the fact that there is pretty much nothing that grants Foraging Wisdom makes it like one of the hardest skill in the game to grind. It's so ridiculously difficult to level up for a skill that is useless. So that's another of the reason why I've run 8 Foraging. So this is the Park Island, the one and only thing that you can get as a reward when you level up foraging skill. And we'll basically be doing this for an extended period of time. Yeah, this is I'll have to do. I could place down minions to get the wood, but unfortunately enough, they killed themselves. Actually, I said there's no way to get Foraging Wisdom, but it's not totally true. I guess there are some item that does give Foraging Wisdom, but it's like some sort of reforge you can put on the accessories, and it grants like 0.1% or 1% extra Foraging Wisdom per accessory, which, well, I guess, yeah, it is kind of better, but it's also terrible at the same time. It's not good at all. And like, if those things would at least be easy to get, it would be okay. But it costs bits, and it's like a shit ton of bits for a single one of them. Actually, I just remember, it's called enrichment. Also, the other way to get Foraging Wisdom is by obtaining, you see, I'm currently using a Lotus equipment set. Well, if I would be using, I think it's a Magma Lord. Yeah, so an Annihilation Cloak gives 2 Foraging Wisdom. And it's worth 210 million coin. And you know why? Literally because of the fact it gives Foraging Wisdom. It's the only actual reason. Okay, so this is actually every single item that gives Foraging Wisdom. So we have, well, a Foraging Wisdom boost that we should totally get. The blue but green Abbey case that gives 1.5 Foraging Wisdom. The Frog Mask that I have, the Magic 8 Ball, but it's basically a random Wisdom and random Foraging, depending on like what skyblock day we are. And that's all. And the Ocelot, I mean, but the Ocelot, we don't really, it doesn't really matter for us because we want to use the monkey pet for more fortune. Speaking of which, now Foraging Fortune, the Cloudy Sentry Cake gives 5 Foraging Fortune, but it's temporary. A B-Mask gives Foraging Fortune, which, yeah, it is pretty good, and we could, I guess. Why do we need to have someone dying when I'm trying to do a monologue? But yeah, we could be using the B-Mask, and actually I also own it, funny enough. It gives 7 Foraging Fortune and also doubles the stat of your B pet, which I wonder if it would be better than the monkey pet once the stat doubled, but I'm not sure. Again, the magic cable, also the frog mask. Oh no, actually, yeah, it's more worth it because of the 20. Well, I mean, we'll see. Then yeah, the B pet, the magic cable once again, and so there is indeed a gemstone that gives Foraging Fortune. It's Sea Train. Okay, with the B pet, we indeed get less Foraging Fortune. Interesting. Also, they recently updated farming, and now Enchanted Hay Bale, the first one, aren't the same thing as they used to be, and also Highly Tide Hay Bale doesn't exist anymore. Also, if I had it renowned on every piece of armor, it would technically also be better because it gives plus 1% to every stats, but we don't have obviously renown on Iron profile, so we'll have to pass on that. Let's just go continue the foraging grind. Okay, I just want to point out that I've started the recording at like what, 5 p.m. and it's currently 11:55 p.m. and we got enough to make an helmet, a chest plate, and we're missing some part for leggings. So let's first craft these things, or else I'm gonna just forget. And actually we can do it as well. Okay, so we're just missing leggings. That's Iron Man progression. Let's go. So finally, after a lot of grind, we got a new armor set on the Iron profile. Basically, that means that we did a lot of tree cutting. Fuck you, Mr. Beast. And even if the gameplay of getting the wood was insanely boring and long for nothing else than getting this armor, I'm still glad I did it. Because this game is, like I said, all about gambling. You're gambling your time for unsure and useless rewards that won't matter once you gamble them against other things. And that's the beauty of gambling. I'm satisfied because I lost all my time doing this, and won barely anything, which forced me to continue. Because, like you guys know, 99.9% of the gambler quit before their big win. See you later, pal.